Hi, I'm Hi, and so it's time to chat. Gosh, I just always have so much in my head to talk about. So I was writing down some stuff to have some structure, and you know how well I do with structure, especially with two gummies, which I kicked in. And just so you know, I can now show you how lovely the the Sullivan tea shop herbal chai, and I made an iced version tonight. Again, because you saw it before in the previous video, but it's very good. And you know how I'm doing behind the curtain. I feel parched. So this is just the right time. And no caffeine, because it's all. So I just want to show you that, because it didn't look as appetizing before, but it's absolutely delightful. I use because I shop at Trader Joe's now, and I use their Trader Joe's coconut and almond vanilla creamer. I never I just assumed it was gluten free. It may not be gluten free. Is bulgur wheat? Is that gluten free? Because it did, the other, because they have a new seasonal creamer, oat creamer. It's cinnamon bun flavored, which I like sweet coffee, creamy coffee, and it's really wonderful. I've been using their brown sugar, which is also very good. In fact, I have brown sugar essential oils wafting through my diffuser right now because I need radical self care. You know me, I'm always stressed. Something's always going on. But no, seriously, it was some serious stress, and it seems so necessary to begin with, but and it's gone on a long time and it persists. But I'm going to make it through. I had a little one good thing so far has come out of it, and so I have to celebrate that because I advocated for myself for that. So anyway, um, life still goes on. And I was off today, like I said, so I went to Trader Joe's just to get a few things. Well, I go to get their Kimbap. Am I pronouncing that right? They have a vegan gluten-free Kimbap in the frozen aisle section. It's just, it looks like it's sushi to me. I hope I'm not offending anyone, but I think I've heard of the name from. I don't know if I've heard it from Kimchi or not. She talks a lot, about Korean food, and I'm sorry, I'm not well versed in what is, you know, which foods traditional foods. Is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, it's a wonderful product, and it was my day off today, and that's like my day off treat. I'll get myself two of those, and I try not to eat both of them in the same day. But even if I did, I mean, it's rice and tofu and veggies and a sushi, or the green, is that the sushi roll? The dark green paper, algae paper, whatever it's called. I like it. It's got great taste to it. You can tell because I actually went out on my day off. And I should have been doing much uh, other things on my to-do list that all seem very important, and some of them are, but I there's people with CPTSD will understand this. That no, I can't remember what I was going to say. They really kicked in, but there's always an urgency in me always feel this urgency to, not that I'm not also a huge procrastinator, but I always feel this urgency. I have to keep moving and trying to be not only productive, because, but that's part of it, but also this urgency to save the world, which, I mean, if you have to have, or have to have grown into a, an empathic person despite your upbringing, um, there are worse days. But I have to say, CPTSD, it's like boundless empathy, and I just take, it gets overwhelming. It overwhelms me. I am overwhelmed by it. Every cry, I just, any instance of suffering, or injustice against somebody or some being, and I get really upset about it. Not that I voice that upset in, like screaming and shouting and that sort of thing. I'm trying to, through like talking to my legislators, and I'm trying to do it in the right way, in a productive way, or whatever. Oh, that's so saying that. Anyway, and then there's the anyway, which I say all the time too. But let's just say I'm going to enjoy this, try to allow myself to enjoy this particular moment where uh, you know, I made a stand for myself. And it worked. Imagine that, sticking up for yourself, or doing what you need to do to protect yourself, your mental and physical health. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But anyway, so I've written a lot of stuff about it. But I was listening to music this afternoon. So anyway, Trader Joe's was all I did today outside. Oh my gosh, the sidewalks when the bagel shops are open, especially now that school's back in session and all the college students. Just and it's, I have to blame myself because I try to get there like right when they open, to avoid that. It may not have been as easy anyway because it was a weekday instead of the weekend, the Sunday or whatever. The Sundays get, well, the weekend. But I just wasn't expecting it on Friday, and then I forgot that school's back in session. So I know I wish I had lunch too, but I'm just, I want to save all of you and the planet that we all inhabit. I just am exhausted by it. And not just you. You're only one of most segments of the population that I just get, let's just say everyone, pretty much everyone stresses me out at some point. Some just take less time than others. And I'm learning, I am on a journey too, to try to learn to be more understanding and less enraged. It's a very valid side effect or symptom of CPTSD, and rightly so. I try to put a humorous spin on my rage. We'll see what happens. Sometimes it works. I think that's what's helped get me through the so-called life. Remember that show? Very 90s. Very, 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 very 90s is all I can remember. But I would think it was pretty brown. Brown? was pretty groundbreaking in its day. I don't remember that much about it, but it was about 90s teenagers. And since I was no longer a teenager in the 90s, I mean, I still watch, like, I was, you know, I actually later in life enjoyed Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I don't know how much I watched of it at the time. Though I did watch 90210, and I watched Melrose Place. I watched those shows. And, of course, like, Gilmore Girls. I know, the very light, very small town, autumny, pumpkin spice type shows. But, yeah, um, the 90s. I don't know where I was going with that thread. But, so I thought, first I have a film recommendation, but it goes along, more so because it goes along with my album recommendation of the day. And the album is the music from the motion picture soundtrack Until the End of the World, which is a Wim Wenders film. And I believe I've watched it once. It is over 4 hours long, just to let you know. And it's a sci-fi, science fiction type film. And I think William Hurt's the only name I recognize. I think it's William Hurt. And most plays kind of disturbing or disturbed characters. So you see on Body Heat, Kathleen Turner. That's a great film too. Very film noir. And Kathleen Turner, there was no one better than her back then. Remember Romancing the Stone? She was so fucking good in that. Now I'm trying to think of all the other, and then Body Heat, she just, that place, it's like she smokes 50 cigarettes a day. But I just want to send peace out to her because she also suffers from rheumatoid arthritis. And actually, she went to the same, and graduated, I did not, but she went to the same, when I went to college the first time, it was UMBC, and I believe she graduated from UMBC, but she's like their queen to queen in the theater department there. And but anyway, but don't let me get sidetracked. I will say though, it's terrible to say this because she's such a wonderful, and it was terrible that somebody like focused on this because she's an amazing actress. I don't even like calling them actresses. It almost sounds like you're saying diet actor. She's not a diet actor. She's an actor. Or actor light. I like that. So I'm calling all genders actors. I understand. So like I said, and I can't remember when it came out. It was a while ago, but 2009. That seems like not that long ago. I thought it was more like a night. Anyway, it's got fabulous music in it, which is why it's funny. That's why I bought the CD at the time of the soundtrack because the music to me must have been one of the best parts about the film. And any good filmmaker is going to make a great soundtrack. Um, any self-respecting um, director or movie is going to have I don't know about today's movies. Like, no shade, I haven't seen you, so I can't say whether you're good or bad, but I'm so over Hollywood. I know Hollywood's insinuated into it globally too, but I just American Celebrity. The only time I can watch this, like, Real Housewives shows, or you know what I'm talking about, all the shows on Netflix that Trixie and Katya'd watch and that Trixie just loves. I love it because she loves it, and they all they also talk shit about the cast of these reality TV shows, and they say, like, I think they've said, like, we're gonna, like, compliment how beautiful you are and everything because we're gonna destroy you once the show starts, you know, um, and that is why that's the only lens through which I will watch those shows. Um, Listen, I was brought up on The Real World on MTV. I watched the first episode, I mean, the first video from when MTV first aired. And Real World, I was big time into Survivor. This is while I was married. I think it's still going on. I've since lost, this American Hollywood machine that just churns stuff. I mean, not, it's weird because they churn stuff out at an alarming rate, but they also just keep the same shit going on and bring every little penny out of it and any goodness it has. They, you know, it was only meant to be one movie or one, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to do 10 of them. There's no law in the Constitution that says that you have to do, you know, 10 episodes or 10 seasons, especially American seasons. Uh, they go on usually a lot of seasons and episodes per season, as opposed to. And yes, I'm an Anglophile. Well, I am 91.6% English, so I was bred this way. No, but and I am an Anglophile in many ways. I dislike the British royal family immensely. All royal families really should just kind of hit the road. Um, they're all just figureheads, really wealthy and privileged, and have no idea how to live in the real world. Now that's a reality show I would watch. Take a royal family. It could be. I would love to see William and Kate. But even some, like, you know, the only thing is, in more recent royal couples, they, of course, because they all half their gene pool died of hemophilia and other atrocities because they're so inbred that they actually had to go, even though they're like uh, selfly, they define themselves as godlike and God favored, and people after like 300 years, people are like, I'm not seeing it. So they started losing power. They weren't like, I mean, they've still done a lot of damage through colonization. Well, they've always done damage through colonization, but Vikings did too. And I have to, well, I do, like I said, I have 0.7% Finnish in me. Every time I say that, my mind goes to a dirty place. It can happen, even when you're celibate, by choice. Actually, it is by choice. I could put myself out there. I'm not going to do that because I know I'm not gonna. First of all, I don't have the energy, seriously, and I seriously don't have the energy. Um, I have a close few friends that, and it's because we can, like, talk to each other about deep stuff, and that's why I don't have a whole lot of friends. I mean, I have coworker friends, and they're lovely, and we even got together within times. Um, And they're probably think, you're pretty open with me too. You could be a little less open with me. But that's like a CPTSD thing too. You over explain for yourself. You're trying so hard to make someone understand you and who you are. That's inbred in me from all that trauma. I'm getting better. Seriously, I really do have seen a lot of progress because you all are making progress, and but just will always improve it. Well, you know, we all have trauma. Let's put it that way, and we're all in various awarenesses of that trauma and or treatment of say trauma or treatment and maintenance, which is a 24/7 job. I decided to choose the song title for this chapter because I was listening to it before the Gunners were just starting again, and I forgot how good that song was. I mean, it's such a catchy tune. I don't know if there's anything extraordinary about it, but if it makes me feel the way that I felt when I listened to that song, I was dancing in a sensual manner in the mirror, no less. And I didn't look because they always. I don't want to like diss any woman, but women should be able to move their bodies in whatever way. I'm going to just make that clear, in any way, shape, or form. But I have sensed that my body moves differently. I do. My dancing looks a little different. It looks older. And I won't mention any of your names. But I have, maybe it's just a hang up of mine that I just see it as, but I guess I must realize, I was telling somebody before that I think I have to accept that I've always been a crone, and now I need to embrace the crone. And yeah, and it's funny because I won't look it up again, but I looked up crone and what it meant. Well, now I have to do it. Where's my phone? Because crone has such a negative connotation. Well, the sound of it makes it sound like, right? Crone. Crone, like hag, you know? Hag could be a perfectly kind, um, friendly hag. Don't let me get distracted from looking up crone. Ooh, and that's another album for the week. That is a secret. I know you're waiting up there. You feel your breath. But who am I typing in right now? So close. So close. Is that looking for the is it the Wallflowers? It was Dylan's son. Oh no, it's looking at crowd. And this is why it was fine for me to dance in a sensual manner in the mirror listening to the song. Because crone just doesn't mean crone definition. Mean, well, here. This is from Wikipedia. In folklore, a crone is an old woman who may be characterized as disagreeable, no, kind of words, malicious, no, or sinister in manner, often This is a part, often with magical or supernatural associations that can make her either helpful or obsolete. Now, I am a combination of those because I have this strong urge to try to save the world and everyone in it, every being in it, and I can't do that. I was never able to do that. But I really, the obsolete thing, I can get down with that too. I feel like that'd be Katya would really get into that. Obsolete? Absolutely. Oh my god, absolutely. Now I can't say it right. Absolute. Absolutely. The crone is also an archetypical figure or a wise woman. Oh, as a character type, the crone shares characteristics with the hag. Well, there you go. Oh, oh. And then, anyway, I won't read all the other stuff. But, oh, interesting. It says the archetype of the. Um, we don't need to know that. Anyway, I don't think there's anything wrong, even though the dictionary says that a crone is an ugly old woman. Crones can do whatever they want to do. And if they were an ugly old woman, who the fuck cares? Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Beauty is subjective. And beauty means absolutely nothing. Just outward beauty means absolutely nothing to me. Alright, I have some standards. But you know I do have some standards. But you know what I'm saying. True beauty or ugliness is inside. And see, this is what makes me a wise old crone / hag. I'm a going because I'm high and my mouth is dry, which I guess means I'm Oh, so anyway, I was singing, dancing sensually to Wallflowers, one Headlight, and I thought, wow, I haven't kind of felt this way in a while, and that was pretty cool. So I thought, and then the lyrics, I felt the lyrics too, like I did. I had the album when it came out. Baby girl, oh, you're running, baby girl. Now I just want to let you know that baby girl, Lily Bell, she seems to be not suffering in any way, shape, or form. We're keeping an eye on her leg, but we softly massage it and touch it, and she doesn't flinch, and maybe she just pulled something because she has been doing zoomies. In fact, she's doing zoomies right now. I tried to plead your case, Lily Bell, but she does have a limp, and I think my roommate and I are more worried about it. Oh, I definitely know we're more worried about it than she is. I'm trying to get her on pot. CBD. I've taken CBD alone, and it has helped with my RA pain. So put that in your head and take it. But don't roll it into a cigarette, because oh god, as much as every once in a you just have one of those somebody handing me like I would probably faint because it would have to take. I've been in a really bad mind space, not in the not so recent past, and I didn't want to like grab a cigarette. So I don't think there's any chance of me ever smoking a cigarette unless in a roll. That could be my pass into it. Now if it's called for in a role on stage, then I guess I would have to do it. It's part of the character. I'd have to up my greens intake and everything to try to counteract it. Because let me just tell you, smoking is I got kind of a kitty there in the back. Yeah, I was not able to. Anyway, send your healing energy still though, because cats, like all animals, are very good at hiding pain or minimizing pain. Uh, Hiding pain. It's a survival instinct. Imagine that, right? Anyways, so that's why I chose that song today. It was going to be something else. It had a little more angrier vibe to it. Then when I was, see, and I caught it just a moment, a flash in the mirror when I was dancing, where I looked like a younger person dancing, a younger me dancing. And I always loved to dance. I don't know, I mean, I took ballroom dancing lessons. And I mean, I'm more than by any means a professional dancer or great, but I mean, I have a rhythm. I know how to keep a rhythm in my whatever. It's not like I've done it that often, though. Nobody does it in high school dances because everybody's afraid to. And I danced at my wedding. I saw this thing. Isn't that weird? I don't know why that came out as sad. Well, I guess it's because I also realized that you should not have gotten married. But I'm also basking in the attention that I never get for, I've never gotten to be like celebrated. So I really, and then all the people who came, I felt very honored by that. And but deep down I knew that it was never, it wasn't gonna last, and I was, yeah, I was not in the marrying being a good idea area of my life, but it was a lovely day. It truly was. The weather was absolutely beautiful, and the DJ played all my favorite songs. He picked some too. I don't know them too, but and I remember my mom saying, just have a cash bar, and I said, are you out of your mind? And this wasn't, I can't imagine what weddings cost nowadays. We had ours at a beautiful inn, and there was a creek, and it was outdoors, and my ex's cousin, who's actually a very accomplished musician, he's been off Broadway. I don't know if he was on the Broadway when it went to Broadway, and we saw him, and we were invited to see him on it while it was off Broadway. And he's worked with the stories he would tell. He had stories of hanging out with the Oasis brothers, and this is the closest I ever get to like you know uh, knowing about the lives of the rich and famous um, but I mean he was telling the truth, and the stories were crazy. I mean, I figured those guys were crazy. They came off as like these extremely dysfunctional brothers, which is not a big shock. They made some great music. I hope they continue to. I kind of grew out of them, I guess, except I still love their music and never hear it. But only like a few. I never got deep into their, because I'm kind of like that. I go through phases. Like I said, I was in a country phase. I was in a country phase for a while. Not like today's country, which I don't really know about to sound so disparaging, but it just seems very poppy. And this was, at least back then when I was in it, the women actually really sang. Like Faith Hill, gorgeous voice, Reba McEntire, kind of thing. Gosh, I listened to George. I think I mentioned this before. George Strait, and he was the guy who got hugely popular. And now, well, I can't even remember what his name is. Begins with a G. Oh God, I want to say Garrett, but it's not. But oh God. But yeah, I got into a bunch of the Judds, beautiful voices. Um, yeah, but then it just kind of, and I think I did this exact same in the previous video too, having flashbacks. But anyway, where are we? Let's get moving along. Anyway, so my album of the week, and I re-listened to Pre-Dylan Bob Dylan. I popped some gummies, and with my CPTSD, it's still, and with 2 gummies. I had to. I thought it was a rough day, and I don't usually do that. But what was I saying? Okay. But anyway, so the album is music from the motion picture soundtrack Until the End of the World, which is a Wim Wenders film. He also directed and filmed That Perfect Days, which was absolutely beautiful. I recommend that one too. It really captured my heart. Plus, the music is fabulous in it as well. See, some directors, or they get great, I guess, I don't know what they're called. If you get great music people to pick out like the perfect songs for their films, there's certain, even like one of my perennial favorites, Valley Girl, You'll Never Change My Mind, that young Nick Cage and Deborah Foreman, who was also in an 80s horror film called April Fool's Day, which is actually very good. It is. She's good. And it stinks that, or maybe she chose not to go further in her career. I don't know, but I loved her. Valley Girl. Valley Girl. That's another great soundtrack and film. And Nick Cage was like a precursor to. Well, no, because he had more depth in a way. He's a Nick Cage, young Nick Cage, awkward, just an unusual guy, but also very like kind and thoughtful in his own eclectic way, and is very romantic. He has a very romantic nature, which is very lovely to see. Even though I'm celibate, and will always remain celibate. Like I said, it's not all. But I thought, why not just come out and say I don't plan on ever having sex again, and that I actually did. God, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but this is the stress that I hold in my body, and this is with my psych meds and 2 gummies, and this is my shoulder. And it's not linear. I hear that all the time now. But it isn't. It is not linear. It is anti-linear. 2% is on the metric system. But yes. Oh, and then, so I was listening to music again while I was trying to write down like what I might want to talk about today. And I'm like, oh, but Who Are You just came on by The Who. And this is what I wrote. But Who Are You by the Who. Like, we all know, anyway. And Keith's drumming got me horny. And Trixie, that is for you. It just, I'm being groomed by drag queens. So, but yeah, so that was going to be mine too. But I decided to stick to one headlight because I don't know if I would have been as horny for that song if I wasn't sensually dancing in the mirror to one headlight by the Wallflowers. So really fun. And I think I'm just going to, because I feel I'm afraid a lot, and I've always been afraid. I've never felt safe, and I don't even know how to deal with that. But and this is going to sound really silly, but listening to Trixie and Katya'd and watching it, I have to watch it. They're Bald and Beautiful podcast. They're very honest. They're very frank and open and vulnerable. And I know that sounds the vulnerable. You have to be. Being vulnerable is not easy. I think it's hard come by. Hard to come by. Hard come by. I don't know what I was just saying. Or hard won. What am I trying to say? Anyway, so I just thought I would write about this realization that, and when I learned that my father was scared of me. And the first time I realized that, so this is what I wrote. Mom and Dad moved down to Maryland so he could go to work on his master's at University of Maryland. And there may still be an iteration of it. But there was this Fister's Motorhome Park on Route 1, and moved my mother and her infant daughter, conceived and born by rape, by my rapist, child abusing father, Alfred Sullivan Perry. And this is rough, so please bear with me. And so this is July, and this mobile home is a 9 by 12. I don't know if it was Airstream or whatever. I'm sure it wasn't that fancy. The 9 by 12 unair conditioned trailer at this trailer park while he went to work, I guess, and went to school. And I remember my grandmother, my dad's mother, yes, had a unnatural relationship with, and the fact that he was her special boy. And I can say that I mean that like emotional wise and narcissistic wise. it was not healthy for the relationship between the two of them. But I remember, and of course, why it just shows what a smear campaign is. A smear campaign. My dad and my grandmother were waging against my mother from the get-go. I remember her whispering to me. I was a kid. I don't think I was more than. I was a kid. Probably doesn't matter, but I was probably 8 or 9 or 10, and she whispers to me, "If you only put your mother did to Joe natural." And so I have that memory of her whispering that into my ear. I also remember not believing her, even at that young age. Now, I can believe that my mother could have exhibited signs of reactive abuse, or because when you are in the state that my mother is in, not the actual state in the country, but the fact that she was raped by my father. My father raped her to get her pregnant, so they'd have to marry, and he would dodge the Vietnam draft. And she had no choice in the matter. I will never, ever. It was 1965. You know, she had no choice. And so she's left in this trailer with her rape baby, who, as I mentioned, or of whom I've mentioned, the many challenges, increased challenges for misery and suffering in their life they face. Like I said, Daisy's Law that passed in London, in the UK in 2023, babies born of rape are now classified also as victims of rape, victims of a crime. And sorry, Joey, we don't have that here. But I don't. If my mother was reactively abusive to my sister, I can understand that. She was alone, and she knew that she had no real way to escape this. She knew what my father was, and to the lengths, obviously, that he would go to get his way. And she knew that what his mother was, you know. So I don't remember ever really wanting to my Grandma Perry. I loved her, I guess. I liked spending time at they had a trailer, and a summer trailer, and a little cabin in the wood, by a lake in upstate New York. And but I also have some really horrible memories from there too. Yes, that's another story. So anyway, I just love how victims of rape are vilified for the reactive abuse because they have received absolutely no help support for the crime, the violent crime they experienced. we're subjected to, and know that they have no chance of being able to seek any justice for it. Anyway, and then I write when I realized I was now a threat to my father. And then I wrote the kitchen phone, Dad picking at his fingers with sharp sewing needles, stood at that soldier-like attention on the left arm when Jill, quote, pushed him over the edge. His inner dialogue, no doubt. He sprung from that ugly 70s tan, orange, and brown clad armchair and punched and kicked her as she pinwheeled backwards down the hallway into her room and fell on her bed. I'm 10-ish, and my hands have picked up the kitchen wall phone, and I'm trying to decide who to call, 9/11 or Mrs. Green across the street. Jill would understand the laughter. And I put in parentheses, she ran her brood like a drill sergeant. I think her husband Gene spent most of his time smoking outside. You could hear her scream at her kids from across the street, like drill sergeant. And she could get there faster. That was my reasoning, was that, you know, she could do some damage and she'd get there faster. But in my 10-ish-year-old mind, trying to decide who to call, I think I must have felt the air stir. And our eyes met as he walked towards me down the hallway, back down the hallway, and he reached to unbuckle his belt. I hung the receiver in the cradle. And it was at that moment I learned I was a threat, which played out when Alfred Sullivan parodied Bird's future treatment of me. I had always been afraid of him, but to understand that he feared me even more. He was right. Yeah, that was 45 years ago. And then I remember the next day, I was standing at my bedroom door, and I caught sight of Jill in the pink bathroom, which was our shared bathroom, which, looking out my door, was to my right. And she had, I guess, like a blonde panties on, or doing her hair, brushing her teeth, getting ready for to go somewhere and do something, or just to have breakfast. And her body was just covered in black and blue and belts. You know, that's why I gave it to you, because I want to save all voices. All voices. Anyway, I love you, Joe. And I think I'm going to end that for the night. Listen to that album. It's really good. The music's really a mood, and if you can spare the 4+ hours, the film, it's Wim Wenders, so it's going to be otherworldly. That might not be a bad idea either. Or watch some Golden Girls reruns, which I think I'm going to have to do, or watch some reruns right now. Because that, now that part's over, been said, I could use some fun. So I'm going to do that, and I should probably eat something too. I can see the blush. Trixie, can you see the blush? I see.